back to Warship Strategy here on Northern Lights with our very special guest, General Dort. What up, homie?
What's up, player?
There you go, BB girl. Of course, with us as always is Mr. Swole PT. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good. We're doing great.
Outstanding. So what we have for you today is Northern Lights. It breaks down into a Tier 6 all the way up to Tier 10 map, and this is also called North. All right, Mr. Swole, break us down on Northern Lights or North here as we see the mini-map.
All right. Well, you see it's a standard, well, not actually a standard. This is a 4-cap domination mode. And we see it's on horizontal gameplay with all the caps being spread across the E and F grid lines moving through. You see A has a small island kind of on its eastern side there that guards most of that eastern flank of the area. B is kind of turtled amongst a bunch of island areas. You see there's some lanes that you can shoot from, torp areas that can come through, a very crowded area. On the other side of the Long Island, which kind of reminds everyone of an elephant, you see the sea cap there.
Hashtag Turd Island.
Hashtag Turd Island, all right. And then through over on the far east side, you see D, which is kind of way out of the ways, right? You have huge islands that are blockading itself from D, with a narrow channel being the only link between the east side and that sea cap.
So, General Dort, take us through your mentality when you start up top. Here, as we're going to go ahead and camera in behind you here.
Yeah, well, there's two different types of ways you can play this map, you know, in the pubby mode and the ranked battle mode. So for the pubby mode, I like to, go immediately towards the east and just cover B in the initial parts of the game. Like, I got Mr. Swole in front of me right now. This is very similar to what it would look like in a regular match. He'd be kind of contesting the cap, and I would be behind. And the first thing I would do is just whack a destroyer if I could on the way over towards the sea area. So I kind of like to let the whole battle work itself. I like to see the fleets spread apart a bit before I make a decision on where I'm going to input myself. But as a battleship player, I'm not going to go directly into any cap at first. On this map, I'm going to hang between B and C and chill. Definitely not going to go to D. All right. So
why is that?
Well, I mean, it just takes you out of the fight for so long.
All right.
I mean, a D is only a cap that you take, if the fleets have separated in such a way that they're largely focusing towards the west. Your fleet is losing, and that's an open cap that you can jump on to just get some stuff to allow the enemy to be more pressured, so they maybe make a mistake. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, you want to stay away from D. And I don't like going A either, but it all depends. Some DDs like to go there and stuff like that. But again, the BC thing is what I like to do. But honest to God, in a pubby, what really makes a difference is kind of want someone to go A so they can spread the enemy fleet apart so you have more shots of opportunity to take, if that makes sense.
It does. It does indeed make sense. So you're saying the potential potatoes are going to go A and D. I know I've gone to A lot on this map, but I've come to the realization that it's really not a good idea to. Number one, it's kind of open. Number two, a lot of people still go over there, and that's what we're trying to get rid of, is trying to get rid of the potato aspect of your game as we're going through this.
Well, there's two ways you can be a potato on this map, though. You can go, D, you can all go to A, or you can hang between B and C and turtle. That is also a potato move. In Warships, you have to always be asking yourself, am I or is my team making the enemy fight me in two directions? If the answer is yes, probably going to win. If the answer is no, you're probably going to be the potato that gets farmed. You know what I mean?
All right, so Mr. Swole, you play a lot of destroyers here on this map. When you're approaching the beginning of the map here, what are your things that you like to do as a destroyer?
So I like my primary job is to get spots on everyone. So I like to move myself within a comfortable distance of my detection range and any cap vicinity, and move myself along the field, giving shots for others. I'm not going to try to necessarily reveal my position, and of course the ship I'm playing right now, the Tashkent, doesn't have a very good detection, so I would alter my play in this ship. But you're going to move across that area, giving the team a good line of sight, and then I'm going to dart down the border. All right, so as I'm moving through with the destroyer and I'm heading towards the sea cap, this is kind of the line I like to take. And what I'm trying to do is get myself close to this island to block the line of sight of enemies is I start to pull away and go clockwise around the cap, distancing myself as far as possible, using that detection advantage as much as I can while blocking line of sight from enemies. So I'm going to come up to the areas and then I'm going to turn myself away. And the only part you have to worry about is the immediate part around the corner if somebody is rushed up and blitzed. Luckily, you do have a decent torpedo angle compared, so you can dump if that's the case. But otherwise, what I'm going to do is move out and then hug the peripheral of the cap moving clockwise. So again, if an enemy is moving into the area, I have the largest possible advantage of spotting them before I get spotted, while also still contesting the cap. And if the area looks too hard and it seems to be getting blitzed, I have a real easy out, and I can pull out of the cap immediately and get myself to safety.
All about that easy pullout. Like we said in the earlier videos, you definitely want to leave yourself some kind of escape route so you don't get caught up in there and you get cuckolded, as a lot of people like to get on this map. Now, as when I approach this map playing in a cruiser from the top line, if I spawn on the far right-hand side, where in between A and B, or on the far right of A, I generally like to take this path, pathing around the backside of the middle in between B and C, and either shoot across B, looking this way. Here, as y'all see here, you guys can shoot everything back here in this general area, and then if somebody's going to A, you still have shots on A, depending on the boat and the range of that. If I don't go there, then I will travel hugging this island as much as I can. Try not to go past this island, maybe get into the cap, but that's about it. And then shoot these people that are coming across to go to D. All those potatoes right there. Now, as for A and D, the only way that I've ever approached A is right up here on this island. I don't particularly like to go to A here, but somewhere within 3 or 4 kilometers of this island here, and just shoot the DDs first. Obviously, they're priority every time you see them, and then hopefully you got smoke or something that you're gonna cover yourself, because everything else is gonna go to shit real quick. Talk about if you have to go into A and you're in a battleship early on in the game, what direction? How would you take it? A?
If I had to go, well, first there's some decisions I'd have to make, like are there DDs out there? If yes, do I have destroyers in front of me to screen? If no, I'm not going to A. So like, or are there destroyers out there? Do I have a CV to at least spot them that can help me out? If yes, then I'll push through. But like that's why I stay away from there, because it just becomes like a torpedo mess.
All right, and, so it sounds to me like we don't even need to talk about it.
Well, I mean, it is important to some degree, because especially on the north side of this map, so the south side of the map is very, very, very conducive to turtling. Like you can turtle down there because of the way the islands are set up and defend caps, and it forces the northern team to actually make a move. Now, if they're turtled behind B and C and suppressed by an element, you can send forces around A to get good, solid hits on them. And so it is necessary sometimes. I do go around there maybe 10% of the time, but if I have to go around the island at A, all I do is hug it as close as possible to the left. Make it so I can turn out to the right if I need to. But again, it's very situational, and it depends on if I have support, if I'm in a battleship. Now, if I'm in a DD with good concealment, yeah, I'm going to have fun going around there and just side torping everyone trying to turtle in the south. It's got its utility, you know what I mean? But for a BB, you got to be very careful.
All right. And I know D takes us out of the cap, or takes us out of the game for a little while. Is there any opportunity or any way that you would go to D as a first cap?
Yeah, I mean, I would go to D as a first cap if I saw the entire enemy team. Like, say we had a CV and they spotted all the ships early, and they were all going like A, B. You just count them on the screen. You see 12. Yeah, I mean, if you got a DD over near D or something, go pick it up. I still would not send a battleship over there, because you're taking big guns out of the fight for too long. But yeah, I mean, why not pick it up? It's free points. You're just going to keep ticking. They're going to keep losing, their patience, and then they're going to have to make a mistake and push.
As a destroyer, If you're moving into A and say, I know I have Dort coming with me here, this could be a time to be selfless with your smoke and to help the other ships into being able to have a safe retreat or a forward push, right?
Wait. Let's get this straight. You mean to be selfless with your smoke? Oh my God. It's a miracle that somebody said that.
Yes. Although most times it's understandable, especially in random games, the kind of way to expect is a destroyer to keep his smoke for himself, given that there's no communications and a destroyer's life kind of can depend on that. In a situation like this, let's say there's a bunch of enemies moving around this corner, and Dort needed to evacuate, I can extend basically and create a faux island here and allow him to move out if needed with my smoke. So I could actually extend this island and create it as if it was dramatically bigger, allowing him an exit path to move through, get himself turned around safely, securing his side, and not allowing him to take any major damage or mitigate as much as possible while laying this down. And then I can extend out and give him the eyes for the shots, right? So if I sit in there, I'm not going to be able to get those eyes for him. But if I extend out, my detection is still definitely better than his, and I can get those eyes for him to obliterate the enemies.
That's a pro tip right there. Not a lot of destroyers do that, and it's good that occurs, when you got DDs that help you out like that, because battleships are food for a lot of people, and keeping them alive is pretty important, especially if they know how to shoot and kill things. So you got to do what you can to keep your capital ships alive, especially if they're needed to destroy other capital ships.
Okay, so shot lines. I think I've covered B and C shot lines. You're going to shoot from the top. If there's any shot lines from A, it's pretty much they're all coming around this corner here, and you're going to shoot the DDs, obviously. Now, shot lines for D. I try not to go to D very often, but you'll if coming into D, if for some reason you have to go get D, if you're a destroyer or a battleship, you have to look at two different sections here. One coming from the channel from C to D, and then one coming around this side here. Obviously, destroyers are priority. If you can get a broadside cruiser or a battleship there, you can really punish them with torpedoes, or if you're in a battleship for some reason you're at D, then you can punish them with citadels on the side of their boat. So far, we've gone ahead and changed over to the south side of the map, and Mr. Swoll is going to go ahead and tell us about his approach to be in a destroyer, and then we will go to Dort for a battleship play.
So in taking the same approach, I'm going to kind of move myself up, using those same principles of making sure that I'm maximizing my concealment as I'm moving towards the cap, and I'm always going to allow myself a way out. And what I like to use is these little islands that are sitting right in front of B. So as I'm moving across, I'm providing spots for my friendlies behind me as we're moving across. If the cap looks abandoned or able to take, I can easily move myself in. And even if I am in the cap and things get hairy, there's a little channel over here on the east side of the cap between the island, the main island, and the little island that I can escape out of. So if I'm up in this area and things look hot with the cap, given that this area can be highly contested with enemies moving across, I can easily back myself out between all of these islands. So I have one lane that's a little tighter in, and then I'm going to swing this boat and take the more lateral lane and leave the cap if needed. But these positions allow you to kind of move up and block the enemy's line of sight as best as possible while still allowing yourself a way out and trying to get that cap.
Approach to B.
Yeah, I always come on the east side of B and nose in straight to C, and I take shots of opportunity during the early game and whatever I can find on the other side. So that exchange happens for a couple minutes, and then ultimately the enemy team squeezes in behind that island at B and C. Then it becomes sort of like a waiting game when you're going to go ahead and decide whether to focus most of your attention on B or C. But like where I'm at right now, I'm still going to keep my guns focused on B, because you'll never know. There could be targets right there in front of me, directly to the north, or over towards A. You can still reach there with a battleship quite easily. And that'll take up 5 or 6 minutes of your match right there until you can kind of see if they're all trying to come over to cap. And then you can either turn out or go bow in or whatever. But that's essentially it. Shoot DDs though. Always shoot DDs.
DD's a priority. Hashtag DD priority.
Yep.
All right, so Mr. Swoll, go ahead and take us into your approach in a destroyer for C coming on the south side.
So usually my strategy is always to kind of hug islands and make these kind of narrow approaches. This is kind of one of those situations where I actually don't advise doing that. I like to take more of a wider angle out while moving across the sea. And the main reason in doing this is we know, as we talked about the spawning from the other side, this area here allows a lot of ships, especially cruisers with those 10 km torps, to throw these blind volleys through the area. If I'm out this far, I'm going to be able to spot a lot of these volleys as they're coming through and give alert to my ships. And this also allows me, as I'm coming around the corner, to not be blindsided by a battleship or cruiser who's sitting and hugging the north side of that island. So by swinging out wide, again, I'm maximizing my concealment and then moving forward. And then if I go to take the cap, I'm actually going to take it more from the east side. And then as I get into the cap, I'm actually going to spread myself. Unless my plan is to go to D, I'm going to actually shoot myself across to the west. So I'm going to move again in this kind of clockwise direction around the cap point, maximizing the distance between myself and the enemy. Again, if someone steps into the cap, I'm going to be alerted, and I have an easy out rushing to the west to get out of here. And worst case, again, if battleships are moving in and I can provide a smoke screen cover, I can easily extend a smoke screen from here all the way across to the island, essentially extending our foe island here across 2 more grid lines, allowing battleships to move up and take care of enemies swiftly.
Take a look at cruisers here for just about 2 seconds. I know not too many people play cruisers nowadays, but here in the T8, Edinburgh, Chapayev, anything that's tier 9 or 10 that has a radar, these are good spots. You're going to see a lot of them just kind of nose right up into these islands. All along the Turd Island here, hashtag Turd Island, all along Turd Island here, and in this little resort area, you'll probably see a lot of Chapayevs, anything with radar here, just pop in their radar whenever it comes up, as to maybe get an advantage early. Now, when you're playing as a destroyer, and you have those boats that have the radar on it, sometimes it's a nice thing to be patient, not charge straight into the cap. But if you are going to charge straight into the cap, make sure you have an escape route, like Mr. Swoll has been saying here. Because once that thing goes down, you got about 2.5 minutes or so before the radar comes back up. Now, General Dort, your approach to Charlie here on the south side.
Yeah, well, the one thing I forgot to mention is that, it's kind of a dance in between C and B, trying to decide what's going to be the best to push. So I kind of do like figure eights in there for a third of the match until I can figure out. But as you can see, I've come all the way back over to B. Now I'm headed back over to C. But my approach would ultimately be to be cautious. Again, if you don't have a DD screen or a CV to put planes out in front of you, spot the enemy destroyers or enemy torpedoes, you don't go in there as a battleship first. All right, you've got to, unless you have no other option. But I usually cautiously go in at a quarter speed. Maybe I'll stop right at the island there, tip of it, targets if I can see them, or if the coast is clear. Then I'll make a decision to move even further. And then once I do get through there and I cap C, I usually bound up to that island at D7 and use that to manipulate fights and provide cover for me and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the evolution of that. Creep into there at first, see if the coast is clear, hopefully have a screen, cap the point, head up to D7, and do dances over there.
Now, guys, as for A and D coming from the south side, just like we said on the top side, it is very situational for a battleship to go over to the left or go over to the right. Destroyers are probably more apt to go over there alone or to go over there at all. So we're not gonna discuss situationals because every situation is different. You have to use your own judgment on those. So these basic strategies are just that. They are very basic to help you guys not be the donkeys. Don't be a potato here when you're playing on North. North is a very fun map. It can be very rewarding. and it can also be very frustrating if the rest of your team is playing like potatoes. Now, General Dort, we have heard all of the do's on this map. Now, give us some don'ts here for the south side.
For the south side, if you're in a slow battleship, you don't want to go over to D because you'll take yourself out of the fight. You probably don't want to go to A either because it's equally out of the way. You just have to understand that if you're in a BB that's below tier 8, kind of slow, you have to kind of look at the map and see where everyone's heading before you make a decision to commit in a certain direction. So don't just like pick a route and then go there because that's what you feel like doing. That is a definite do not. And especially if you're in like a Colorado or New Mexico going over to D, you're screwing your whole team. You might have like a 15% chance of the enemy sending anything more than a DD over there, and you've just wasted a good 8 minutes of the fight trying to get around back in. Definitely don't want to do that at all.
All right.
Yeah, I triple emphasize that point that D is probably outside of even slow cruisers trying to make that path over on the D side. You're just taking yourself out of advantage. So unless you see that the enemy is making a direct push out that way, like sending a very strong flotilla, and it's going to be worth it to send a few ships, it's kind of one of those later game, right? After you've capped C, if no one's got it, travel the channel, take it, come back through the channel. There you go.
Outstanding. All right, boys. I want to big shout out to General Dort. Thank you for coming on. You guys can follow General Dort on his Twitter at General Dort, and you can also follow him over on his Twitch TV, twitch.tv/General Dort. You guys can follow me, Sir Venom IK, at Sir_Venom_IK. Also, y'all can follow me over on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Sir Venom IK. We also would like to extend a very heartfelt thank you to General Dort for coming over here and giving us his time. I know you're a busy man. Thank you very much, homie. I do appreciate you.
Thank you, dog. Appreciate you having me here.
And as we sail off into the sunset here, looking at the Aurora Borealis, Mr. Swole, whoa, it's awesome. It's fantastic. We also would love to encourage you guys to watch this video a few times, just in case you missed anything. And like I said, these are very basic. And Mr. Swole, take us out, buddy. Take us out.
All right. Well, all y'all follow these strategies. Remember, we're just trying to instill some basics. Follow it. Allow yourself ways out. Don't take yourselves out of the fight. Play to win. That's what we want out of you guys. So until next time, y'all have a good one. See you later.
Oh, yeah, I gotta get those beads off.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. Come cold. Yeah, I got you. Detonated. You detonated.
That's funny.